aspects of St. Peter's and the treasures. So the first one we're going to do is the one on the triptych. So what I'm going to do is just run the video, have you watch it, and see if there's any questions or anything else you'd like that comes out after this video. So enjoy the treasures of St. Peter's. Show, and today we are going to be taking a look at one of the great treasures of St. Peter's Church, and that is the high altar triptych. It is a striking feature that you see when you come into the church, and it is called a triptych from the Greek word meaning three pieces, tri-tych, or three pieces. If it had only two pieces, it would be a diptych, but we have a triptych that we look at our altar today. Triptychs began appearing in churches as altar pieces probably by the 11th century. A lot of medieval churches had beautiful triptychs on their altars. This triptych was installed in 1916 at St. Peter's when it did a big redecoration. So it's not original to the 1887 church. It was put in over 100 years ago. The triptych is made of wood, a lot of carved wood, and it has a centerpiece and two side pieces. In the center, we have the striking picture of Calvary Triumphant. The Lord stands with outstretched arms along a cross of gold. And he's in the attitude of king. See the crown. Lord, see the nimbus around his head, and bishop wearing a bishop's chasuble. On either side of him are St. John to the right and the Blessed Virgin Mary to the left. And that is reminiscent of the Gospel of John, the Passion of John, in which Mary and the beloved disciple were at the foot of the cross. So you see them there. Now on either side, complementing Calvary Triumphant, are two of the major saints of the church. Of course, we have our patron St. Peter, who is on the left. And you see that because he is holding the key. Jesus saying to Peter that he will give him the keys to the kingdom. And so St. Peter is on the left, and on the right we have St. Paul, who is carrying a sword. The Word of God is like a sword, and so both Peter and Paul are on either sides of the triptych. We have carved, some wonderfully carved flowers on either side between the saints and Jesus. We have some grape leaves and grapes there, and then at the base of the carved at the base of either side of the hinges of the triptych are four angels, which could represent the four archangels in Christian literature. Now, at the bottom, we have a number of saints that are depicted, and we pretty much know who they are by the particular symbol that they are either holding or is with them. So let me go from the left to the right, and we'll take a look at some of these saints. All the way on the left is St. Andrew. We know that because we see him carrying his cross in the shape of an X. And St. Andrew carries the cross in the shape of an X because that's what he was crucified on. When he was going to be crucified, he said, I don't want to be crucified like my Lord. I want to have the cross turned. And so that's why he was crucified on an X cross, and that's the cross of St. Andrew. Next to him is one of our four gospel writers, one of our four evangelists, and that's St. Matthew. And we have him holding a book. He is an apostle too. And down we have in the lower right-hand corner portrait of an angel, which is his symbol too. Next to that, we have St. James the Greater, and he's carrying his staff here. And then making our way to the central panel, we see the next one here is St. Philip, who has a distinctive staff with little knobs on the ends that is distinctive to St. Philip. Next to him is our second evangelist, St. Mark, who wrote the Gospel of Mark, and here we have a symbol of a lion with him. Next to him is St. Bartholomew. St. Bartholomew, it has grasped in his hand a flailing knife, and that is his symbol. Now in the middle, we have not a Christian saint, but rather the lawgiver Moses, and here he is depicted in priestly garb, holding a copy of the Ten Commandments, and so he is right in the center there. Moving to the right of Moses, we have St. Thomas, and he is holding the building square, which is a symbol for him. And then we have our third evangelist, St. Luke. St. Luke was among the apostles, but a writer of the gospel, and the symbol for him is the ox, and that's in the lower right-hand corner. Next to him is the apostle St. Jude, and he is carrying a club, which is his symbol. Now let's make our way over to the far right, to that panel, and there we have, carrying a saw, St. James the Lesser. Next to him to the right is St. John, the fourth evangelist, and we have an eagle down in the right-hand corner. And notice the real how close he looks to in likeness to St. John in the middle part. So there is definitely that connection from the lower panel to the main panel. And finally, we have here what we think is probably not an apostle, but rather the first martyr, St. Stephen. He is holding a book and he's holding a stone. Of course, Stephen, the first Christian martyr, was stoned to death. So this is certainly used in our liturgies every Sunday as we celebrate Eucharist, but there's a very important time of the year when we make use of it, and that is on Maundy Thursday. Because this just doesn't stay here like that, but it is on hinges, and so you can actually close the triptych. See me moving it here? It actually, both panels are half the size of the middle, and so they close perfectly, and we do that at the end of the service on Maundy Thursday after we clear out and strip the altar. Then we go ahead and we close both panels, and on Good Friday, the triptych is closed. And I'll have a picture. I have a picture of that you can see right here. So it is, and then once Easter Vigil and Easter happens, it's brought back open in all its glory, and everybody celebrates the feast of Easter. So it is a wonderful, wonderful treasure. Very few churches in the area have a triptych, none the size of St. Peter's. It is a glorious part of our church, and one that we see and admire and get inspired by every time we worship. Thank you very much for being part of this particular series of Treasures of St. Peter's. Any questions or comments about what you're seeing?
Why not St. Matthias?
All of the 12 apostles are not listed there, so it is a question: why some and why not others? What is the reasoning? I mean, I know, yeah. Maybe we need another panel for them, and why do we have Moses? Why do we have Stephen, who aren't apostles? So you were thinking, oh, it's all apostles, but it's kind of a bit of a collection of different saints, I suppose. Yeah, all men though, so that's an interesting thing too. Maybe the product of the time that it was put in. So, any? It was in 1916 that they put. Yep. So there was a whole redesign. This church was built in 1887, and in 1916 they closed they redid everything in the church. They put in new pews, I think the new floor in the chancel, new altar, and they put in the triptych at that time. I remember one person a few years ago when we did tours of the church remarked that she had seen a similar one in a New England church put in about the same time. So it could be
we had some manufacturer that kind of went around and put these in different places. I don't know much more about it. Yeah. Yep. Any other comments? You're welcome to go up and take a look closer. See, it's almost like once you see that, then you're like looking at another time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Yes. Well, it certainly could. I mean, we've been discussing that, but it's very delicate, so we need to have somebody that knows what they're doing to do it. But we've been in some conversations, but it certainly could go for a cleaning. I think it'd look even more spectacular. Now that we got all our lights back, I think you can see it a lot more clear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're not going to do this next week because we don't have a 10 o'clock service. So in 2 weeks, we're going to look at angels depicted throughout the church. So I hope you'll tune in for that. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.